Live with the scandal of the century breaking right now.
You?
Yeah.
Meaning that,
No,
meaning
that Lucas knew. Lucas knew. In this house, we have the scandal. Forget the news, guys. Can you tell them? Oh, wait, I'll just tell them. Biggest scandal that last night when Raya insisted that I also check that Lucas wasn't on his phone when he was supposed to be sleeping, I went in and I said, he's sleeping. He's sleeping, not on his phone. His phone is nicely placed by the charger. And you want to know what? Today he told Raya, he said, I knew that I heard you guys say that, and so I quickly put my phone away. And Raya is insisting that she told me, and that this needs to be dealt with, and it's not fair that Raya gets.
Can I explain to them,
You
please?
know, you can explain. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to explain. Last night, Mom told me to put my phone down, but I did use it. I'm not going to lie. I did use it. And then
At like midnight, after midnight.
at midnight
Mm-hmm.
or 11:45, something like
Because
that.
we're still on war lag. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then I knew for a fact Lucas is not sleeping right now. So I said, go check Lucas. Go check Lucas. She goes and checks Lucas. Of course, I yell, go check Lucas like an idiot. Okay.
Yeah, because you were crashing out.
Yeah, I was crashing out. And I said,
You can
go
learn
check
teenage
Lucas.
terminology
Go check
here
Lucas.
as well as
And then Lucas
geopolitics.
heard me. Lucas heard me from the room. Okay? And then he tells me this morning, oh, Raya, by the way, I heard you yelling, go check. So I put my phone there and I fake sleep. I was fake sleeping. Wow, I just forgot my word, what I was going to say.
That's all right.
So then,
Yeah.
Can I show you the shoes?
No, but you can show them your Arabic homework. That's way more impressive.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, no. Okay.
Okay.
I'll be back.
Okay, good. All right. So as you can see, we have breaking news here. Forget the Lebanese and Israeli talks that are historic and underway in Washington. We have breaking news that Lucas abused his, just the fact that he overheard, he was spying, and he was able to evade detection.
Sorry.
But all right, just one more thing, and then Raya's going to go because she has to get on with her night.
I have to shower and then clean my room.
Mhm.
I'm still picking off it.
And that's going to take like all of the
That's
next
my homework.
5 hours. That's her Arabic homework. There you go. Very nice. Very nicely written. Okay, go. All right. Masalami.
Walaikum salam.
All right. So anyway, so let's go back to non-reality. Let's go back to our political theater, as it were, and what's going on. Now, I have to say, I have been in a whirlwind today of covering an event and then trying to write articles. So I don't have, we'll be checking the news together for some of it. But tonight, the biggest news today is that Israel and Lebanon had direct negotiations. They were in the same room in Washington, D.C., in talks convened, hosted by U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio. That's something like it's 40 plus years, I think, that the two nations have spoken. They have zero diplomatic ties. They are considered enemy states. And now they have a mutual enemy that they are, that probably has brought them to the table. So this is, we've been, if you've been joining live streams, you know that this is where I've been focusing for the last couple of lives, because I think that this is an extremely significant move in the region. And this could be the biggest outcome of the U.S.-Israel war on Iran. Let's say everything there stays status quo. and that, those ceasefire talks temporarily failed. They're saying that there might be more coming up. But in any case, let's just say that stays status quo, and Iran goes on a little bit crippled militarily, but they still have their regime. They still have power. Israel and the US feel like, okay, well, we broke them a little bit, but whatever. So, let's just say that stays as is. But if things shift between Israel and Lebanon, then you have a real game changer coming out of this war that may not have been, has been, wow, the original goal of a war, but the biggest game changer in the region. So let's talk about a little bit of what is happening in Hezbollah. And by the way, I just want to say hi to Carol and John, who very much enjoyed Raya's, her in-depth investigation of how the scandal of the century unfolded. And hello also to Marcia, who's joining from Illinois. And you guys, as you join, just say hi, put it in the chat, and I'm going to be popping back and forth on different screens. But but I forgot. See, I could do this. Forgot. You guys you can feel free to remind me to, do this, to put up the chat. So, okay. So there's a lot to talk about because I skipped a day. And when I skip a day, the news piles up. But on a positive note, for those of you who are like, I don't have time for an hour of your rambling, I have not been like on the news hardcore all day because I was actually covering an event and, making my own news. So, so today, I'll give you a little bit of context. Today, Israel marks Holocaust Remembrance Day, which is different from the International Day, which is in January. So in January, I think it's based on the liberation of Auschwitz, and the Israeli one, I believe, is based on the Warsaw Ghetto uprising. So there's different dates that it's based on, and also in Israel, it's not on the Western traditional calendar. It is what do you call it? It is the Jewish calendar. So it changes throughout the year, but it's always like in after Passover, a couple days after Passover, usually in April. So today is the day. So I found out that some Jewish Israelis were doing a Holocaust Remembrance event honoring righteous among the Gentiles. That would be people who saved Jews during the Holocaust, and it was Armenians. So there are 24 Armenians that are recognized officially as righteous among the Gentiles. And this woman, she's a Jewish Israeli. She's a scholar on Christianity. She does tours of the old city. She focuses on Christians. She also advocates against violence that happens against Christians. Like she has a data center where she collects reports, incidents of things that have that violent acts against Christians or vandalism on Christian sites, things like that. So she wanted to honor and highlight the Armenians that were involved in rescuing Jews during the Holocaust. And so she created this display and an exhibition that she had, and she had it hosted at the Armenian Seminary, and it was absolutely fascinating. So she has a group of volunteers that are also very much intent on improving relations between Jews and Armenians. So, and Jews and Christians, Israeli Jews and Christians in general. So one of them, who is an ultra-Orthodox Jew, he is very much involved, and he actually stood outside of the Armenian seminary and tried to invite and enlist Jews who were going to the Western Wall to instead come to the event. And I was like, wow, this is absolutely fascinating. So I interviewed a lot of these people, and I just sent the article in like an hour ago. And so hopefully that'll be published, and I'll leave a link somewhere. If I remember, I'm really bad at that. But anyway, I will. It was a great story. Like it's just amazing how it all transpired, and also just the stories of these Armenians, because they just 30 years before left Turkey because of that genocide. And some of them are survivors. They fled and then they relocated to Europe, and then they were found they saw the patterns of genocide developing, and so they said, well, we have to do something. We have to save the Jews. So one of them saved 400. He created a hospital and in Hungary, and then he hid 400 Jews in the hospital. So fascinating, really fascinating stuff. All right, but anyway, let's go to Lebanon. So what is happening with Lebanon now? I keep finding stories of Lebanese who are saying, yeah, let's deal with this Hezbollah problem. So I am going to find for you some different posts that I found. I'm going to scan through. All right, here's one. Now, we're going to go to this page here. This is a Lebanese member of parliament, Paula Yakubian, who is Armenian, married to a Shiite Muslim, which is, by the way, Shiite Muslims are, Hezbollah Shiite. And let's see what she said. I believe this has English subtitles. So let's see. This is a minute-long clip.
ليش حلال على إيران تروح تفاوض الشيطان الأكبر وتقعد مع الشيطان الأكبر اللي امبارح كان عم بكسرها، تروح تقعد معه بباكستان، بس بلبنان إذا راح فاوض لبنان لمصالحه ولحماية البلد وحدوده بيطلع انكسار. بإيران هو انتصار، بلبنان بيطلع انكسار المفاوض. ليش يحق دايما للإيراني ما لا يحق للبناني؟ وهي مش أول مرة بتصير، هيدي الحرب اللي عشناها السنتين من وقت إسناد غزة لحد هلأ. كل شيء بتعمله إيران حلال وجيد، كل شيء بيعمله لبنان هو عمالة وانكسار وما بيسوى. هيدا بمنطق مين؟ هيدا بمنطق أتباع إيران. أنا بناشد الناس يفتحوا عيونهم. وين مصلحتهم؟ يفتحوا عيونهم مزبوط. ليش إيران بحق لها بالصبر الاستراتيجي ونحن مكتوب علينا فقط نتكسر، ننهان، نعيش بخوف وبقلق وبدمار وبحروب مستمرة؟
Okay, so first up, Paula Yakubian, who is saying, why is it okay? Why is it okay that the Iranians are negotiating with the great Satan and the little Satan, and they're okay to do that? But once Lebanon steps up to negotiate with Israel via talks that are being conducted by the United States, why is that not okay? Why, why are we getting criticized for this? Like, we are an independent country and we should be able to make our own decisions. Now, we're going to go to somebody else. Now, I cannot say whether this particular man, Makram Rabah, if he necessarily represents every Lebanese, but I'm going to make sure I'm on the right. Let me make sure I'm on the right channel or the right page when I see what he says. Hezbollah Zoom coup thwarted by Israel. Is this what I'm looking for? I don't know if this is the one I'm looking for. This may not be it. Hold on. Oh, okay. I think I have another, what do you call it? I have another link open by him. I found it from his page. So let me go to his article that he wrote. It's probably translated from Arabic. Okay. Just so let's take a look at it. Say it or bury it. Lebanon at the edge of truth. Correctness is killing Lebanon. And then he has crossed out, speak the truth, but instead stay silent, stay safe. Okay. So he writes here, and he's like a professor, I believe. I don't know where it's written, but he's a professor at a university. And all right, let's read his article. Every time we try to describe reality as it is, someone emerges to lecture us about civility. We are told to soften our tone, to preserve national unity, to be mindful of people's feelings, as if the problem lies in the words, not in the innocent blood spilled by tyrants, as if the crisis is one of expression, not one of dragging the country toward ruin. Let's be clear. Lebanon's problem is not sectarianism. It never was, except insofar as sectarianism has been cynically deployed as cover for a very real political and military project. The crisis is far simpler and far more dangerous. There exists an armed organization organically tied to a regional agenda that has usurped the state's authority over war and peace and uses the Lebanese people, yes, uses them as human shields. Everything else is ruckus. Okay, now let's pause reading this article and let us understand that he is talking about Hezbollah. So he is using the same words as the Israeli government when he says that there is an organization that is using us, the Lebanese people, as human shields. And unless we come to terms with that, everything else is much ado about nothing. Okay, when we say that I'm continuing with the article. When we say that operatives linked to the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps are active in Lebanon, the immediate response is predictable. This is anti-Shiite rhetoric. This is perhaps the most dishonest political claim in Lebanon today, because those who hide behind a sect to shield a transnational military project are the first to betray the very community they claim to represent. This is not a Shiite issue, nor is it Sunni, Christian, or Druze. The question is much simpler. Does the state exist or does it not? Are we expected to remain silent simply because naming things as they are might expose an armed actor, one that has fought in Syria, contributed to the destruction of its cities, extended its reach into Yemen? He's talking about the IRGC, and embedded itself within civilian spaces across Lebanon. And this is the IRGC, is the paramilitary organization in Iran that has proxy groups such as Hezbollah, the Houthis in Yemen, and they also were active in Syria, many different militias in Syria. So he says, are we to pretend that those who operate from within residential neighborhoods, who transform homes into military platforms, are somehow engaged in resistance? Resistance does not hide behind children. It does not drag its own people into catastrophe and then retreat into tunnels. And these are the tactics of Hezbollah that we've seen, and also Hamas, by the way, that they use people as human shields. They build tunnels, and he's saying this is not resistance. It is the behavior of a militia, cowardly in both method and consequence. Yes, cowardly. And this is where the deeper problem begins, not only with the weapons themselves, but with the attempt to impose a new political vocabulary on the Lebanese, a vocabulary in which words like smuggling, hegemony, internal occupation, or even killing are to be avoided. A language that forces the victim to choose their words carefully so as to not offend the executioner. This is not political debate, it is coercion. When we say that the system is financed, armed, and directed by the IRGC, we are not provoking anyone, we are describing a reality. When we say civilians are being placed in harm's way by those who embed themselves among them, we are not insulting anyone, we are identifying a crime. The crime is not in the words, the crime is in the actions. All right, we're about halfway through this article, and or less, and there's no mention so far of Israel. You notice that? Like, there is no blame right now of Israel, despite the fact that Israel just FYI, is occupying southern Lebanon, is just all in militarily, has killed at least 100 Hezbollah. They're actually, apparently, in the brief news that I checked, apparently surrounding Bint Jabil, or Jebel, I'm not sure how to say it, and are having, like, Hezbollah operatives are actually surrendering right now to the IDF. And so, and Israel, like last week, a wave of attacks that they carried out killed over 300 people. And I still don't know the breakdown of civilians to Hezbollah, but it was, they said they were going after Hezbollah military targets. They, you know, people are calling it a genocide, a massacre, it's this and that. But so far up to this point, there is no mention of Israel. It is only an indictment on the IRGC and Hezbollah. And he's calling all of this a crime. And amid all the noise, I'm reading the article again, we must restore a basic moral compass. No project, no access, no leadership has value if it is built on the blood of Lebanese children. A single child buried under rubble outweighs every speech of defiance, every declaration of victory, every commander elevated into myth. States are measured by their ability to protect the most vulnerable, not by their ability to justify their deaths. Those who accept the substitution of a child's life for the image of a leader are not defending a cause. They are rationalizing a crime. This is not sentimentalism. Is that a word? Sentimentalism. Oh my God, sentimentalism. It is a political principle. No weapon is legitimate, no leadership sacred when human life becomes expendable. The irony is that those calling for calm today are the same voices that excused, justified, or ignored years of assassinations and intimidation. From Locum Slim to countless others, Lebanese lives have consistently ranked below the narrative. And now we are asked to play the same game. Do not name, do not describe, do not raise your voice. Wow, this is fascinating because he is not even talking about the war. He's not talking about the talks with Israel. He is just going straight to Hezbollah. So now you heard Paula Yakubian, who is a member of parliament, but also saying, why can we not have the freedom to negotiate as we want to? And then you have this article where the author is talking about Hezbollah's entrenchment and how you cannot even call them out. So this is quite fascinating. Let's just go to the end. Let's see. Lebanon does not need more mass. It needs clarity. It needs the courage to speak plainly without fear of intimidation or accusations. And if the truth makes some uncomfortable, that is their problem. As for the rest of us, we will not apologize for calling those who hide among civilians and leave them to die what they are, cowards. Nor will we hesitate to describe a project imposed from beyond Lebanon's borders for what it is, a form of occupation, no matter how it is dressed up, because there is no longer a political disagreement. It is quite simply a matter of life and death between those who want to live and those who insist on dragging everyone into war, a war which serves no one but Iran and its IRGC thugs. All right, so as far as I'm concerned, this article is calling out Hezbollah and the IRGC in a way that I have not seen or heard in the media, especially coming from Lebanon, in years. And there's a certain boldness that I haven't seen or heard, and it's like coming up over and over that they're saying enough with Hezbollah. Now, for his part, and this is something I have to find, the Hezbollah the head of Hezbollah, Naim Qassem, I need to see his speech because, and this is something I saw a little bit of it. I read snippets, but let's try to see some of, let's see what Reuters has to say about, because he urged Lebanon to, what do you call it, to cancel talks with Israel. And we're going to read that in a second. I just want to say hi to Walter. And if I missed anybody, I'm sorry, but I'm just like popping back and forth between the chat and all these different screens. But thank you for joining. And all of you who have just joined, thank you. So let's check out what Naim Qassem, who is the new head of Hezbollah since Nasrallah was killed. It was that in September of 2025 or a little bit later. Okay, so 2024, sorry. So Hezbollah chief Naim Qassem said on Monday, he called on the Lebanese government to cancel a Tuesday meeting between the Lebanese and Israeli ambassadors in Washington, describing the talks as pointless. In a televised speech, Qassem said the armed group will continue to confront Israeli attacks on Lebanon. Wow. What, why did you even write that article? There's like nothing in there. It's just an announcement. I need to find a better article with quotes. Oh man, I can't open Al Jazeera, by the way. Do you know that? We can't open Al Jazeera here. I'm sure they had the whole thing. All right, so we'll have to resort to, let's see if the Times of Israel. Now, are you guys on the same page with me? Yes, you are. Okay, that's good. Okay, so let's see if Times of Israel has a little bit more. Okay, well, they have some quotes, but it's not much longer. All right. No. This is Katz responding to Qassem. But what does Katz say? Israel Katz is the Israeli defense minister. He said that he will pay a very heavy price for rocket fire on Israel. But that's a week ago. Come on. How is this not? Look, Naim Qassem's speech I put in the chat. I mean in Google, and nothing turns up. You got to be kidding me. Oh, come on.
Google is being controlled.
Seriously, what the heck? And I can't open Hezbollah. And Hezbollah. I can't open Al Jazeera. Come on. All right, let's see. Andalou. You guys still on the same page as me? Okay, literally. I meant it literally. Let's see. Do we have, we've got meat. We've got meat in this article. All right. So the resistance rejects the futile negotiations with the usurping Israeli entity. He stressed that Hezbollah will not surrender and the final word will be decided on the battlefield. By the way, they always talk like this. Israel clearly states that the goal of these negotiations is to disarm Hezbollah, as Netanyahu repeatedly states. So how can you go to negotiations with somebody whose objective is already clear? We will not rest, stop, or surrender. Instead, we will let the battlefield speak for itself. Qassem urged the Lebanese government to take a historic and heroic stance by canceling the negotiating meeting. Now, of course, this was yesterday, but today, the American delegation was there. They were led by the U.S. ambassador to Lebanon, Michelle Issa, with Israel represented by the ambassador to the U.S., Yechiel Leiter, and Lebanon by Ambassador Nada Hamadeh Mouad. So it happened, guys. Despite Hezbollah's best efforts, the talks happened. And Rubio said, I want you guys to look at this, like he welcomed them. And he said, I want you to look at this as a step. And this is a process that is going to be ongoing. So we witnessed history today. I don't know where they got to in their talks, and I don't know if it's public knowledge yet. But in the meantime, and during the talks, and that's why I probably, was noticing the thing that my phone was buzzing of rocket alerts in the north and constant rocket alerts. That was ongoing by Hezbollah at the same time as the negotiations were taking place in Washington. So they were sending a message that they are very unhappy with what is going on. So, okay. Now, this professor that I read to you his article, Makram Rabah, assistant professor of history in the American University in Beirut. He was also, he's been hitting this thing about the IRGC for a while. I mean, he has a couple articles, and his Twitter account is full of this kind of talk. So the more I have delved into what's happening in Lebanon, I see a lot of voices coming out like his. And then you heard the member of parliament, and the fact that Lebanon, the government of Lebanon, sent a delegation to Washington, even while Israeli troops are on their soil, and even after Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu went into southern Lebanon and assessed what was happening militarily. I think that is just shows how they're very firm in their stance that Hezbollah has to be disarmed. Now, Lebanon cannot do that alone. Just like the Iranian people probably cannot overthrow their regime on their own without outside help, even the army, the Lebanese military, cannot go against Hezbollah alone with help to disarm this organization. They are extremely well armed. They are armed like an army, not like even a militia. They have very sophisticated weapons in terms of missiles, and they have drones. There are constantly drones that are crossing into Israeli territory. But I really believe we're looking at a case that the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And so Israel and Lebanon are now looking at a mutual enemy, which is Hezbollah, and both of these parties have an interest in disarming this entity of Hezbollah that is a representative or a proxy of the Iranian regime. Now, Hezbollah has been weakened by a couple of years of war. I mean, they have very damaging weapons, missiles, drones that have been fired into Israel, and they're still able to shoot. But also the fact that their physical supply line has been cut off with the regime change in Syria also means that they're not getting the same amount of weapons to the same extent. Also, they had other pro-Iranian militias that operated in Syria. But again, that's not happening these days. So it's just a very interesting turn of events that we see here. So anyway, this is still ongoing. We will be keeping up with it. I don't know when the next talks are, but also there's supposed to be talks happening with the U.S. and Iran. And now, remember, I had just said the other day, like, where's Egypt and all this? Egypt was strangely silent. Now Egypt's back. Egypt and apparently also Turkey want to get involved in the negotiations. So very fascinating. All right, so let me see if I have anything else in my notes. I'm scrolling. We talked about Pakistan, right? About how how Pakistan came to be the negotiator here, and how basically they kind of hoodwinked the West and just appeared with a nuclear weapon. And of course, it's probably an aspiration of Iran's that they want to do is come up with a nuclear weapon. So now, of course, I mean, I think at this point, getting into the fine points of the negotiation is like almost pointless, because it's like you can't have a nuclear weapon for 20 years. No, 5 years. It's like, they're going to go back and forth. The Strait of Hormuz is blockaded. I don't know how that's going to resolve itself. So, you've got like all of these back and forths that are taking place now. And that's going to go on for a while. And especially if they insist that, sorry, I'm looking something up. If everybody is insisting that on their points or whatever, it's just going to go back and forth for a while. So anyway, we'll see. And this could be just a ploy to buy time, of course. And so, all right. Now I am going to go to this website. This is called, I'm going to take you to another bit of news here. I was talking about this town in Lebanon called Bint Jabil. That it, just as, look at this. This is a picture of the U.S. representatives and the talks that were going on. You see the Lebanese and Israeli flags back there as well. So this is, another very short article. The Israeli military says its troops have now fully surrounded the town of Bint Jabil in the south of Lebanon, a notable advance in their ground invasion of the region. Now, we are going to go look at a map, and let's look at the map so we can see exactly what we're talking about, where this is. You can see the last time we were in Karaj, which is not Karg Islands. Bint Jabil, only Lebanon. Let's see. I've got to back out. You can see just around it, though, some Christian places. Here's a church. It's very, very close to the Israeli border. Okay, right above Avivim and Yaron. Okay, so on the, let's see where it is in relation to Israel and the Mediterranean. Of course, the border extends up here to Metula. I was up here 2 weeks ago. There was not, Metula is like getting pounded now. When I was there during the war, not even one siren, not even one. And that's a place that they get like probably 10 a day at least. So it's just unbelievable. All right. So I think this is also something. Now, I was just reading before I started this, that Bint Jabil is symbolic. And let's see if and that there are actually surrenders taking place right now in that town by Hezbollah. So let's see if there is. Oh, by the way, they're going to continue negotiations in the coming weeks. I just saw that. All right, but I wanted to see if they put out any videos, because I did see some videos, but I just would rather see like the official one rather than something I haven't sourced yet. I think there was also an Israeli soldier that was killed in operations yesterday. If this is good, if we can tell anything from it. So this was from overnight. The IDF paratroopers eliminated it. They say this is from an IDF spokesman. Eliminated a terrorist cell in Bint Jabil, and 3 IDF soldiers were moderately wounded or severely injured. 1 was moderately, and 6 were lightly injured. So there was a confrontation there. Okay. And then also they found an underground tunnel. They said, that's in Gaza. Well, I'm getting, this is all mixed up in one. So also they announced today at 6 o'clock, like as the talks were were ongoing, that they expected an increase in fire during the time the talks were going on. So, all right. So I don't see any official videos. I did see some videos on other channels that I just haven't. Oh, wait, here it is. I did find it. They're the ones that sent it. All right, so let me send this to myself. And then we can open it up. But anyway, it looks like things are somewhat going to have to come to a head. Now, the airlines are coming back. They're announcing that they're going to come back soon. So it looks like people aren't expecting to go back to war anytime soon. But to be honest, I don't necessarily always trust that, because we're kind of used to these things happening where, no, this is not the one I'm looking at. What the heck? How do I get this? Oh, maybe it is. Let's see. We're used to things falling apart. So let's see what happens. Oh, I see. Now it has to open this because it doesn't like that, blah, blah, blah. All right, here we go. This is the one I was looking for, guys. I found it. Now, this is an IDF video. So what they want to show you, etc. This is they are saying here that these are terrorists that are surrendering to Israeli troops. It's only a 7-second video, so let's take a look. They're one of them threw his weapon, and that's it. It's very quick. So you could see it again. So he just tossed his weapon, and the other one's there on the ground. I don't know if he's injured or whatever. But anyway, there you go. They say that this is what's happening right now in one of the main towns right there on the border. So anyway, that's all I got today. This is the big news. Lebanon opening talks with Israel. This today is Holocaust Memorial Day, but and also we're basically in a stalemate regarding Iran. I mean, I didn't even talk about Iran actually. Today, because there's not much new there. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot new, but we just don't know. So anyway, that is that's a wrap for today. I'm sure there will be more tomorrow. I do want to tell you guys, tomorrow I am going to be on a webinar hosted by the Jerusalem Institute of Justice, and I'll send you the link right now for anybody who wants to. Oh, why did that not work? Yeah, can you put it up there? It's not working for me. I'll send you a link to that. I'll put it on on Facebook. Yeah, but it didn't open for me. I got the same thing as you in that one. That's weird. Oh, and Walter, yeah, great point here. Walter says, it's amazing how we hear nothing about Gaza anymore. Yeah, there is stuff going on in Gaza for sure, but I also haven't heard much, and you have to dig for it. It's not the same. Wow, this is not. It's not working. I can't send you guys this this link. It's like acting up.
It's acting
No,
up?
it's acting up. It's totally acting up. But here, she said we're having trouble with this. Okay, so I will give you guys. I'll put it, you know what I'll do? I'll just put it most likely on Facebook, and maybe I'll put it in the community chat for YouTube subscribers. But tomorrow, I think it's noon Eastern time in the US, but 7 my time. So all right. Well, thank you very much for joining and for participating. I will definitely. I'll probably be back tomorrow, and hopefully we'll have some more news from over here. But thank you very much, and have a good day wherever you